What's going on, everybody? Welcome into Fantasy Pros. This is Leading Off Live, the Fantasy Baseball Podcast. I'm your host, Joe Orico, and as promised, a clean-shaven Joe Orico today, joined by Casey Bubba. We're going to be bringing you through all things baseball, the headlines, some news and notes, injuries, some bets, and a couple of home run calls as well. Bubba, how you doing on this fine Wednesday?
I am doing well. It was a new look showing up across the screen when we got ready to get going, but it was good to see you. Good to be back in the saddle after a few days off.
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple of comments there. Babyface Orico. Yeah, I know. I can alternate between looking old and looking young, and also acting old and acting young. I'm occasionally a bit curmudgeon-like on the show. So yeah, I do kind of rotate around with the styles. I keep the hair long, I keep the beard long, and then I shave it all off. I look like a different person. So I'll be turned down at the liquor store this weekend when I go to get a case of beer, but it's all right. No worries there. But we are going to talk some baseball. But before we do talk some baseball, we're going to go outside of baseball for a second and mention Dolly Parton. Because Dolly Parton, as Michael Calley reminded me yesterday, our producer, is bigger than baseball. Dolly Parton passed away yesterday at the age of 80. And I think, Bubba, in a world where I think everybody can agree, there's not much we can agree on in this world, but we can all agree that Dolly Parton is one of the most beloved people in entertainment history across both sides of the political aisle. There was no animosity that I saw at all yesterday, which is incredibly rare, and she might be actually the last person that we see that with, but a musical icon, a philanthropist, gave back millions and millions of dollars to the community, an awesome person. Everybody from Eminem to us yesterday was feeling the loss of Dolly Parton. Just wanted to start the show. I know it's not baseball, but wanted to start the show off by saying rest in peace to one of the greats.
Yeah, no, it is a sad one because, like you said, it's like one of the few people where everyone can relate to Dolly as either their grandparents, their parents, them. I was kind of in between the genres of people watched with the Hannah Montana show or whatever with Dolly Parton with Miley Cyrus. I wasn't in that era. I was a little ahead of that, but like I know my grandparents, my grandpa especially, was a big kind of old classic country person. So loved Dolly. There was many things to love about Dolly. I was reading some things that were posted about her in the last like 24 hours, and it was just great because just the way like she's been offered I believe the Nobel Prize or one of the presidential awards 3 different times. First time by Trump, second time by Biden, third time by Trump. First time she missed it because her husband was sick. Yeah. Second time it was COVID. Third time she didn't want to take it from Trump because she didn't want it to be political, or the people thought she was ignoring Biden. Just so she read the room is where I'm going with this.
Yeah.
Which is why she was universally loved, which is very great that it's not everything has to be left or right or this or that. She was just, we're all people, let's live life and enjoy life, which was great.
Absolutely. And as Seth said in our chat, our producer Seth, his son got books sent by Dolly Parton through her foundation. She sent millions of books all around America. A dying thing, reading books, but Dolly Parton tried to keep that alive. And just overall, just such a classy person. And to Tim Curry as well, not to be forgotten. Tim Curry passed away this morning as well. Sad 24 hours, but I did want to start the show off with a remembrance of Dolly Parton, one of the true greats and maybe one of the last unifying figures that we have in this world. So rest in peace to Dolly. We are going to talk some baseball, and unfortunately, it's not going to be an immediate happy note because we're going to talk Jacob deGrom, absolutely destroyed by the White Sox. 3 2/3, 6 hits, 5 walks, 8 earned runs, and just 2 strikeouts. And Jacob deGrom, for as much as I love him, it really hasn't been a great year for him overall, especially in the second half. His ERA is up over 4 now. The whip is still not too bad at 1.18. But over the last, I want to say, month and a half, maybe even 2 months, Jacob deGrom really has not been that sharp. If I go back to June 19th, which for Jacob deGrom is 11 starts, it's a 5.70 ERA and it's a 1.45 whip. Still getting the strikeouts, but command hasn't been great. BABIP all over the place. Are we still willing to trust Jacob deGrom here, Bubba? I mean, people are into fantasy playoff time, and any bad start could lose you your whole season. Are you willing to trust Jacob deGrom right now?
No, he's a start-by-start matchup basis. And like you said, you mentioned 11 starts. It's been a thing, and it's not just getting blown up. It's like there's a 2-inning start, there's a 3 1/3 inning where he did get blown up, but it's like 5 earned runs or more and 3 of his last 8 starts. Like that destroys you when you're doing that. And it's at the White Sox, at Houston, against the White Sox. So maybe there's a trend there. Padres lit him up. There is a lot to be concerned about with deGrom. There's zero sugarcoating that whatsoever. And if you just look ahead to what's to come with deGrom, and he's getting old, so DeGoat, he still is. But like the frustrating part is last week people sat him because he was supposed to not pitch because he was hurt. And he lights up the world. People start him this week and get destroyed because baseball is what I'll say to that. But when you look at the upcoming matchups for Jacob deGrom, it's like next week he has a two-step at home versus the A's, at home versus Tampa. Like you're going to start that in a weekly league. If it's in a daily, you start the A's matchup. That's great. The Tampa one's up in the air. But then it's like at Arizona, which is usually a coin toss, Boston. Like they're not locked in starts is my point with deGrom anymore.
Yeah, there's a note on the screen if you're watching on YouTube from Evan Grant, who's a Texas beat reporter. deGrom threw 42 pitches in the first inning. The average exit velocity on the 5 hits he allowed was 72.3. So it's not like he was getting destroyed necessarily. Very frustrating stuff going on, but it's been frustrating for a while now. Bama fan in the chat saying, if you think deGrom isn't good, anything with the ball is not for you. Look, I am one of the biggest Jacob deGrom fans in the industry. If I had a Hall of Fame ballot, I would check it off twice for Jacob deGrom. But he's made 25 starts this year. Over the last 19 starts, he has a 4.91 ERA and a 125 whip. So for the majority of the season, he hasn't really been helping you. I don't know if it's pitch tipping, as Lee's suggesting, or what's going on. There is also a chance that Jacob deGrom is just 38 years old with a lot of wear and tear and a couple surgeries under his belt. And he's been mostly healthy the last 2 years. And if I told you at the beginning of last season that Jacob deGrom would make 60-plus starts over the next 2 years, we would all take that. But I think he is kind of at the end of his rope a little bit here. I wonder for next season, Bubba, if he's somebody that's still going to get the hype. I mean, he was a 6th-round pick in your early draft to Steve Weimer, end of the 6th round of a 15-teamer. I think it was pick 89 overall. If that's where his ADP is, will you have any shares next season?
No, I've been kind of off the deGrom train for a couple of years now just because of injury concerns. It's not because I don't think he's good, Bama fam. I did say, and I agree, he is a Hall of Famer. Time just eventually passes you by as you get older. That's just life. Like Scherzer, still an amazing pitcher in his career. He's washed, folks. Like it just happens as you get older. Verlander, Hall of Famer, shouldn't be on a mound again. So I just want to clarify that real quick.
All the time is undefeated. It happens to everybody. I mean, Scherzer was able to get through 5 innings yesterday, or 4 2/3, but he walked 5 batters. So even when they are good later on in their career, you're still going to get some inconsistency. I think we got really lucky that deGrom was able to do what he did last year. And if you drafted him this season, it hasn't been the end of the world, but I think I'm kind of taking my foot off the gas a little bit here with Jake. As much as I love the guy, I think we're kind of past the point of him being considered an ace. Let's shout out Van Rod, 100 stream streak.
Awesome.
That is unbelievable. Watching us for 100 consecutive days, I can only imagine what that's done to your mental health, but we appreciate it anyway. We love you guys watching the streams. Make sure you guys are liking, subscribing, doing all of that great stuff. We're still giving away a $50 store code, I believe. If you guys are going to drop comments here on Twitch, you can win a $50 store code here at FantasyPros. So make sure you guys are leaving your comments. There's a ton of new merch on the baseball side, a whole new leading off line, hats, shirts, and all the rest of it. So drop your comments below. Subscribers get a 1.5 times odd boost. And as you can see on screen, a bunch of hats, bunch of shirts, a bunch of cool leading off related gear that you guys can get a chance to win. Let's talk Tyler Glasnow, not somebody that we've talked about really at all this season, but he did return yesterday, was activated off the IL and returned. He gave us 5 innings, 6 hits, 3 earned runs, and 7 strikeouts. I'm not sure what to make of Tyler Glasnow at this point. The overall numbers for the season, it's only been 8 starts, but they are very promising. He is a Dodger, but I think in the back of my head, there's still something that worries me a little bit about Glasnow after how last year looked, after all the injuries. The swinging strike rates are not what they used to be. I don't know if he's as dominant below the surface as he once was. If you look at stuff numbers, he was at a point in time like 116, 121 stuff. It's down to 103. Location stuff is below average. So it's kind of a mixed bag under the hood with Tyler Glasnow. What do you make of him going forward and I guess heading into next year as well?
He's always, to me, one of the upper echelon pitchers in the game. He had a 33% whiff rate in his return last night over those 5 innings, which is great. A 28% CSW. His stuff's electric. It's just the year in, year out. He's going to get hurt. And for how long is the question. Glasnow is one of the first ones that's actually come out and said, I'm going to throw as hard as I am. I'm going to have surgery on my elbow, but I'm going to get paid. He acknowledges he acknowledges what baseball is these days. And so he's got to have to like buy into that. And that's why there's always that, yeah, I'm going to take him. And if I can get like 15 starts in a season, those are going to be 15 really good ratios and a lot of strikeouts. It's just like how many do we get out of him is the $1 million question. Like, and this year you mentioned the early starts, then he goes on the IL. Now he's back. Did you hold him? all of that mental fantasy gymnastics that you have to do. That's the tough part. I think he's a great pitcher. It's just a great pitcher. I don't know if we'll ever see a full season out of.
Lee's saying he's the Giancarlo Stanton of pitchers. It's
Pretty
pretty good.
fair.
Pretty fair.
Wonder what his favorite bag of chips is.
Oh my God. I don't know if I'm going to be in next year. Looking at where you guys took him in that early draft, eighth round, I believe it was. Yeah, eighth round to Ryan Roof.
That's fair, honestly. I think that's like an SP3. You can live with that.
I think I can live with it. It's just something that always worries me about Glasnow. I think it's just a me thing, but I think also looking at the innings you get over the years as he gets older and progresses into his 30s, it's likely not to improve. And the Dodgers are also prone to some cheeky IL stuff mid-season. Maybe there is an injury, maybe there isn't. I'm still kind of hemming and hawing on Tyler Glasnow. Let us know down below. Would you be willing to take Tyler Glasnow in the eighth round of a draft for next season? Let us know what you think. I'm torn. I could be going either way on that one. Let's talk Pete Alonso, because Pete Alonso is having a kind of a monster season. Hasn't really been talked about a ton. I mean, it's talked about a little bit, but Pete Alonso, among the early first basemen, has been the best investment of them all. 31 homers, 89 RBI, 81 runs, and he's even chipped in 5 steals. I think the big thing with Pete Alonso over the last couple of years is he's shown that he can hit for average, 276 and 272. After being more of a 240, 250, he had the 217 season, but superstar type of stuff from Pete Alonso. First year of a new contract, which is something that we usually tend to avoid, but he's been great. And if you look at the graphic on screen here, it's from a couple days ago. Sarah Lang's talking about at least 7 homer seasons in your first 8 career years. Pete Alonso, the only year without 30 was the COVID year. Pujols, Mark Teixeira, Eddie Matthews, and Ralph Kiner. It's a hell of a list for Pete Alonso to be on, and I wonder if he will maybe get drafted as the number 1 first baseman next year, Bob. It'd be hard for me to make a case against it at this point. As much as Nick Kurtz is great and Ben Rice, and there's a lot of really good options there, I think Pete Alonso is in conversation to be number 1 at least. What do you think?
Yeah, he's in conversation. No doubt about that. I took Stewart over him for the steals upside, but don't fault anybody for Alonso, because what you're getting, and it shows in this tweet that's on the board, is he basically, we as last week we talked to Matt Olson, the consistency. Pete Alonso, consistency. These are and they're power sources in a game that's losing power, which is great. And he had the slow start with the new contract, but my goodness, you read the full season stat line in August alone. Dude is hitting 398 with 8 home runs and 20 RBIs. Pete Alonso is hitting 398. Let me repeat that over a month, which again, batting averages fluctuate with him throughout his entire career, as you mentioned. But any hitter hitting 398 is great, let alone Pete freaking Alonso. He has a 21.5% barrel and a 65% hard hit rate over that stretch, Joe. Pete Alonso is scorching earth at the moment, and it's been an absolute joy to watch. Big Meat Pete the polar bear is having some fun in Baltimore. And, dude, I should have got the image. I should have paid attention. This past weekend, I think it was, or sometime this past week, Baltimore gave out a Pete Alonso kind of on-ice polar bearish type home run bobblehead. It was awesome. Absolutely amazing. And, so I had to throw that. I like collecting bobbleheads, and that was a very cool one.
I've never been a huge bobblehead guy, mostly because I'm never one of the first 15,000 people to get to the stadium. I'm usually late.
Wouldn't have pigeoned you for that one, Joe.
I've never witnessed batting practice pre-game, if you can believe it.
Oh, man.
7:15, yeah, okay. Middle of the first, we're here.
Oh,
Actually,
man.
It was one year in Toronto, I remember being outside the stadium and Marcus Semien hit a big home run, and we're all like, damn it, we couldn't have shown up 10 minutes earlier so we could have been inside for that, but that's kind of the nature of me. I'm usually a little bit tardy, as you guys saw a few weeks ago on Leading Off. Let's talk about Carson Benge, though, because Carson Benge just continues to have an amazing rookie season. Despite the fact that he's playing for a Mets team that has been incredibly disappointing, Carson Benge has been one of the lone bright spots. 16 homers, 68 runs, 53 RBI, and 19 steals. That is with a 282 batting average. He's essentially replicated what he did in the minors last season. He hit 281 with 15 homers and 22 steals. He's going to have more homers and I think more steals this year at the major league level. And it's kind of a shame that National League is so crowded, because this is a rookie of the year worthy season that probably isn't going to win rookie of the year or even be particularly close, given McLean and Weatherholt and Stewart. But a hell of a season Carson Benge is having, a top 60 player for the year as a whole, Bubba.
Yeah, he's locked and loaded. It's been impressive since the All-Star break. 336, 5 homers, 3 steals, 16 runs, 16 RBIs. More impressively, 20.6% K rate from a youngster. That's one thing I love seeing is plate discipline from young ball players while they're hitting with power, which we don't see transition that often. And you kind of mentioned the depth of the rookie class on last night's Bubba and the Bloom. Someone asked us, because we're talking to Sal Stewart, right now, like the latest odds, obviously they could have changed. Like Weatherholt's plus 110, which he's been like negative almost the entire season. He's plus 110. Stewart's plus 160. Benge is plus 450. Do you think putting money on
Wow.
Benge is worth it or not at this point in time? Is my question.
Well, that's a lot shorter than it was because as of like a week ago, he was 10-1 or 11 to
Yep.
1. So he's definitely shortened the gap. I don't know if he can do enough to catch up to JJ Weatherholt because JJ Weatherholt on both sides of the ball has just been spectacular. He's hitting only 245, which maybe some of the traditional voters won't love, but 17 homers, 14 steals, 87 runs. He's playing outstanding second base. So I think it's probably going to be Weatherholt, but for 10, 15 bucks, throw it on Benge. Maybe Weatherholt gets injured or something. Like, you never know. Like, at that price, I am willing to take a chance on Benge, but I think it's Weatherholt's to win, which is crazy. Sal Stewart might lead Major League Baseball in RBI and
Yeah,
not win
I'm
Rookie of
putting
the
money
Year.
on Sal Stewart. If I can get plus money on him right now, I think we got a full month of baseball. I think he's got 3 weeks in Cincinnati. So
Wow. Okay.
Stewart is intriguing. Weatherholt moved to shortstop though, so voters might like that because when Mason wins on the IL and Weatherholt's going to play short the rest of the year, so that could be interesting also.
That is an interesting tidbit, actually. Shortstops tend to be valued higher. Lee Gold saying Weatherholt, Sal Stewart, Carson Benge. And let's not forget about Nolan McLean, who's probably not going to be quite there, but 26 starts of a 3.21 ERA. He's got a 30 or 27% strikeout rate, a great whip. McLean, like, there's like 5 worthy Rookie of the Year seasons happening in the National League. Bama fans saying Sal or McLean. Weatherholt isn't close to Sal. I mean, I don't know where that comes from. Weatherholt's phenomenal on both sides of the ball. If you want to look at like WRC plus or OPS plus or things like that, it's very, very close between them. And then Weatherholt has the defensive advantage. So I'm probably thinking it's Weatherholt there, a 107 WRC plus with great defense versus 117 with kind of not great defense. Could the gap be shortened over the next couple weeks? Maybe. I personally think it's Weatherholt's to lose, though. Is that fair? Because there's lots of disagreements in the comments. Wonky saying Sal Stewart in the driver's seat. A lot of Benge fans. It could go anywhere, I guess, but I think it's Weatherholt.
Yeah, I'm the Sal Stewart guy here as well, but Weatherholt, he's in the driver's seat, so as long as he can, it's like old NASCAR, as long as he can, stay in front, he's going to keep it, but just don't look in your rearview mirror is what I would say.
Let's talk about another Met in a season that's been disappointing. It's nice to see a little bit of a bright spot from Lou Bob. He is back, and he hit another home run. He's hit 5 home runs going back to August 12th. That's a pretty decent little stretch from Luis Robert. Overall, his 53 games, 10 homers, 23 runs, 23 steals. 23 steals, 23 RBI. He hasn't been stealing. Only 2 steals in those 53 games as a whole. And I wonder, Bubba, if you're in a shallower league, 10, 12 team league, and you're seeing him on the waiver wire, is he somebody you'd be adding for a little bit of a championship run here down the stretch?
Totally depends on your format because his batting average is going to be pretty rough. If he hits
Yeah.
240, you're happy. But yeah, it's been 8 homers since he came off the IL at the end of July 20th, so about a month, which is pretty strong. He's going to get a few days off here and there. So yeah, if you want a power bat that can go on a heater like he is right now, then you should probably give him a look. Just be prepared for the inevitable at some point in time with Lou Bob.
Could we get an O'Neill Cruz type of resurgence from him at some point, you think? Because people have kind of written off O'Neill Cruz a little bit, and then he was like the number one player for the first month and a half of the season. And I feel like Lou Bob has that upside, the 30 homer, 30 steals. Does he have it anymore? Maybe not, but I feel like the comp is kind of close. Could you see that happening at some point?
Yeah, I don't think it's like I think there's they're two different profiles, at least to me. They're two different ones. Lou Bob, I don't think a lot of people, at least I have never doubted his skills. I've always
Yeah.
thought he's got 30-30 potential. It's like the Glasnow conversation is how many games is Lou Bob going to miss this year? That's where I'm at with him. And that's the biggest frustration because like we've seen it right now. You mentioned the heater he's on. He's got those skills. That's undeniable. But like he's not even running right now because of said injuries. So that's the biggest thing. But yeah, Cruz is on the resurgence. Maybe a healthy Lou Bob can get there someday. Maybe a better comp is can Lou Bob get that Byron Buxton resurgence where all of a sudden he
Ah,
gets healthy as he gets older and goes that direction.
I could I could see it. I really could. I mean, he's not that old yet. It's not a situation where, oh, he's toast. Like, he just turned 29 earlier this month. So there's still potential for a couple of good years. I don't think he was taken in the first 15 rounds of the meatball draft, was he? I don't think he was.
No, he was not last time I
So
checked. Yeah.
so that's like 200 plus picks deep with a sharp room where he's not being drafted. Now this recent stretch will probably push him up a little bit, but I think 200-ish ADP is probably what we're looking at next year, somewhere in the 200 ballpark. He'll be on a couple of my teams, I think, if we finish out strong here. I want to talk about Payton Tolle. I don't think I've ever loved a Red Sox or an interdivision AL East player more than Payton Tolle already. In his first season, I'm already over the moon for this guy. Another really good start. 5 1/3, 4 hits, 2 walks, 2 earned runs, and 7 strikeouts. Over his 22 starts, it's a 3.09 ERA and a 1.09 WHIP. Speaking of Rookie of the Year, it's a guy who should get some serious consideration in the American League. I think Parker Messick is probably going to do it, but you never know. Over the final month of the season here, Payton Tolle has been phenomenal. And there's nothing really to do for this season. He's rostered, obviously, but looking ahead to next year, is Payton Tolle going to be a top 25 SP? Or is that maybe pushing it a little bit? Because that's where my brain went initially, top 25, top 30.
He got drafted like a top 25 SP to James Anderson at the sixth pick of round 5
Okay.
when we drafted, and I fully think so. McConaughey's taking the Rookie of the Year. That's not going to happen for
Right, McGonagall.
Tolle,
Yeah.
but he's awesome. And every time I watch him pitch, it just like there's something else I like about the guy. He feels like he should be getting the cameo in Super Troopers 3 that just came out. Like even last night in the bullpen, a video came out. Andrew Miller, former pitcher, is their pitching coach or their bullpen coach, and he's warming up, and he just the pop of the glove. I guess there was an echo in the bullpen, and they both started laughing and high fiving. Like Tully's just unseriously serious, if that makes sense. Like his post game interviews, he's just natural, and then we haven't even hit on the skills. He is just that talented. He's very, very good. This is a guy like you know, Joe, you can relate to this, and maybe the listeners can. When you watch certain sports, certain movies, whatever, you go, that's a guy I would want a beer with. Payton Tolle, I want to go to a dive bar with for like 6 hours and just talk and drink with, because I think we'd have a great time.
Payton Tolle, I don't know if you guys have seen Parks and Recreation. I feel like a lot of people have. He is Ron Swanson. He's Ron Swanson.
Yes. He's his illegitimate child from the town over from, yes.
For Bonnie. He looks, but I forget what the adjacent town is. There's Pawnee, and then there's somebody in the chat will get it before I will. Oh man, I can't remember, but Ron Swanson-esque is just perfect. Like he looks like him. He has that fun personality. There was a video earlier in the year. Eagleton, thank you, Todd.
Yes.
Eagleton. He made some kind of speech. It was something to do with Independence Day or the 250th for America. And he was in the dressing room doing the speech, and it's like, I'm not even American, and this guy fired me up. He's awesome. He's visually cool to watch pitch. He's a fun personality, and he's great. Like his talent is unbelievable. So yeah, Payton Tolle, I'll shout him out every chance I get, which does hurt as a Blue Jay fan to some extent, but I'm in love. I'm in love with Payton Tolle. What he's doing is awesome. Going from one current Red Sox to a former Red Sox, let's talk Kyle Harrison. Kyle Harrison has had a true breakout type of season. I think it's fair to classify it as such. Really good start for him yesterday. 5 innings, 6 hits, 1 earned run, and 5 strikeouts. And over the course of the season, 103 innings of a 2.79 ERA and a 1.12 WHIP. But how much does this piss you off that this is happening as a Giants fan? And also, do you think that this is sustainable that Kyle Harrison will be an ace going forward? Because the previous 3 years, above a 4 ERA, the whips were always pretty bad. Strikeouts were never to this level. Is this a legitimate change that he has unlocked, or is this a really good season that people are going to overdraft next year? Also, apologies.
No, it's fine. I thought we were going to walk past the Giants party segment from one Red Sox to a former Red Sox. But cool, you left that part out. But no, we're here because Joe is like a little brother to me, and he has to poke the bear. But yeah, no, he's legit. This is coming through the Giants system. Everyone knew Harrison was going to be really, really good. He just had to figure out command, and he has done that since he left the Giants. And a lot of these young pitchers, I say it all the time on my other shows, is so many of these young arms that are coming up, command is the biggest issue they got to figure out. And like you heard the Welsh talk about it, different size baseballs and stuff. There's so many factors to what's going on. Harrison's figuring things out, and the skills are there. I'm concerned about his elbow because since he had that little scare, he's thrown 4 to 5 innings in every start. He's gone no more than 90 pitches. So they're babying him. He's still looking great along that route, but It's like, when's the inevitable hit? But long term, yes, I think Kyle Harrison is a future ace. I think he is that good, and he's a reason why the Brew Crew have a solid chance to unearth and take away the throne from that team in the Southern California region.
I think it was with Welsh we were talking about how the Phillies are probably the best non-Dodgers team in terms of how they're set up for playoff success and lineup, bullpen, rotation. Milwaukee is right there with them, though.
Uh huh.
They really are. They're going to be getting Uribe back. He started a rehab assignment. The rotation is ridiculous as long as they can keep these guys healthy. And there's a lot of potentially not healthy guys going forward here. Mizorowski, Logan Henderson has dealt with all kinds of stuff. Harrison's dealt with stuff. Dustin May has had his inconsistencies. So they're on fine margins for sure. But I think right now, this is a team that's set up to beat the Dodgers, or at least to take the Dodgers to 7 games and compete in a way that they didn't really last year. It's time for our catcher segment of the day with Bubba, of course. And Yanier Diaz, I mean, it came naturally because Yanier Diaz had a big game, hit a couple of homers against the Yankees. And I think it warrants a conversation at this point because you asked somebody 3 years ago, they might have told you he's the number one catcher in Dynasty. And it's been a pretty steady decline. There's been some injuries, of course, but he's not hitting for that super high average like we saw those first couple years, 282 and 299. Power metrics have cratered. The barrel rates are cut in half from where they were. Hard hit rates are not good. Average EV is not good, et cetera, et cetera. Chases everything. We could probably get a whiff off of him outside of the zone. But I think there's still some potential there. I'm just not sure what to make of him at this point. Is he a buyback for next season where he'll be 28 years old? Or in the landscape where there's so many good catchers, is he just a guy we don't really need to worry about anymore?
No, he'd be a deep catcher one, definite catcher two. I'd be highly invested in.
Okay.
It's weird watching him because it was frustrating. Like the skills were like he was struggling. Not going to deny that. Then he loses a ton of playing time to Christian Vasquez of all people. That was confusing. But now, like literally the day I believe the GM is gone, Diaz is back to playing nearly every day as the catcher for the Astros, and he's hit safely in like 6 of his last 7 games for a 364 average. He's got the 2 homers. I think he's still very, very talented. A lot of catchers are one of my big takeaways every year, and a lot of catchers play through injuries because they're catching, and so it's hard to like I think get that consistency year in and year out, which makes like the JTR runs so awesome. Makes some of these other guys just elite because like we're looking at Dylan Dingler, he's scuffled the last like 3 to 4 weeks, but he could easily be hurt. Like these catchers go through it. I think Diaz is fine. He's still one of the upper end options.
Yeah, Dingler, I mean, he was looking for a while like he was going to do like a Cal Raleigh, not with the homers, but making the MVP a close race from behind the dish, like 5-win season, but he's kind of tailed off. Diaz is somebody that I think I can get behind again at some point. The playing time thing is really interesting. It's like a Moneyball thing. Who has the lineup card? Is it Billy Bean or is it Art, whatever his name was in the dugout there? It's a little bit strange, but let's see what happens with Diaz over the final couple weeks. He still has pretty good plate discipline outside of the chasing in terms of the strikeouts. I mean, he doesn't walk a ton, so maybe it's hard for me to say he has good plate discipline, but there's still fantasy juice here potentially heading into his age 28 season. A guy that I didn't think would have any fantasy juice anymore, but here we are, Aaron Nola. Somehow he continues to have good starts. Yesterday, 6 innings, 3 hits, 2 earned runs, 7 strikeouts, and 3 walks. And if you look over his last 10 starts for Aaron Nola, a 3.57 ERA, a 126 whip, and a 20% strikeout to walk rate. Is he back? Is Aaron Nola back into the circle of trust here for the fantasy playoffs? Next couple starts coming at Arizona and versus Atlanta. Are we starting him?
Uh, that's the thing. He is in the circle of trust. I'll 1,000% go there.
Okay.
With Nola, I actually have nothing crazy. I was going to post on him later today. So, really a big fan of his. I did write him up for Fab last week because of what you mentioned. He has consistently been very good. He's got the 2-step next week, so you're going to roll that back out there against Arizona, Atlanta. Atlanta is actually one of the worst teams versus righties over the last month. They strike out almost 26% of the time with hitting like low 200s right now. So take the chance with Nola and see where it goes. But yeah, he's got a really good schedule. Got Atlanta twice actually, which is crazy. And then the Mets. But yeah, he's in the circle of trust. Ride it while you can. Don't be surprised if it gets rocky. But he has been very, very effective. And yeah, you enjoy it while you can.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like head-to-head managers, you might have gotten into the playoffs because of Aaron Nola, and you might start him and he might end your season, which is why head-to-head can kind of drive me crazy a little bit. But maybe in the 10-team leagues, you look for better options just because there probably are. And then 12 and deeper, he's probably a start for me. That's probably the way I would read it. Todd saying Nola is strictly a leap year play for me at this point, and I think that might be the case. We was doing the in and out for a while, and I think that that's kind of done, although he's kind of resurrecting it a little bit at the end here. I don't think it'll salvage the season line. It's still a 5 ERA, but as of late, things have looked very good for Mr. Aaron Nola. Guys, I want to remind you about my playbook. You can manage your fantasy baseball lineups and dominate your leagues with my playbook right here at Fantasy Pros. It's a suite of powerful tools to help you make a better decision, manage your lineup, and win your leagues. Import your team to get custom fantasy baseball news, rankings, and analysis, and you can sync your leagues today at fantasypros.com/MLB My Playbook or download the Fantasy Pros. We have any questions here? Not really. I did earlier when I mentioned Parker Messick, I was thinking along the lines of pitchers, and I totally forgot about Kevin McGonigal there for a second. But yeah, he's should be the American League Rookie of the Year. I don't think that there's anything that's going to stop him outside of maybe a Parker Messick perfect game or something at this point, and who knows what'll happen down the stretch. But anyway, let's keep it going with the 3 up and 3 down. Mickey Gasper hit a couple of homers against the Marlins. Luis Garcia Jr., 4 hits, including a home run yesterday for the Yankees. And Zach Thornton, 6 innings of 1-run ball while striking out 4 Brewers. I'm not really a long-term believer in Zach Thornton, but he's had success this season. Mickey Gasper, a couple homers. Luis Garcia, big night. Any big takeaways there, Bubba, from the ups?
Nah, it's good to see Garcia still raking. Gasper, just my goodness, it's amazing. But really curious what Boston does when Anthony comes back, Roman Anthony, that is, because someone's going to have to DH because that outfield's packed and Gasper's been DHing. So I'm really curious to see how that plays out.
Yeah, and I would have said if it was like a month ago, Jarren Duran will sit, but Jarren Duran's actually been swinging a pretty good bat. He had a grand slam. Was it yesterday, or the day before? He had a grand slam in the 9th inning against the Marlins, and he's kind of turned things around a little bit for himself and for the Red Sox. So he's probably not going anywhere. Not really sure what they're going to do. We'll see how things shake out when Roman Anthony is eventually back. Let's move to the downs. Matthew Liberatore, who I've believed in for years and years, and it's come to an end this season. I'm done. He was torched for 8 earned runs by the Orioles. He did strike out 7, but I don't know. I've been a believer for years in Matthew Liberatore, but I think I'm kind of done at this point, Bubba. Do you have any hope that he can eventually give us some productive fantasy seasons?
I'll have the small glimmer of hope that maybe he's going the Mackenzie Gore route of just annoying us forever and maybe he figures it out. But yeah, it's very tough right now, and I almost have to see it to believe it at this point.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at too. He strings together like 6 good starts, and then I add him all over the place, and then boom, he does this.
Well, it's a great he gets great matchups too when he gets chilled. It's insanely frustrating.
That is Matthew Liberatore in a nutshell. Gavin Williams burned a lot of people yesterday. A lot of marquee pitchers yesterday burned their fantasy managers. Gavin Williams was amongst them. Lasted just an inning and a third and allowed 5 earned runs against the Angels of all teams. Lee in the chat saying it's just a hiccup and not a reason for me to panic. And I would tend to agree there. There's nothing really to panic about. He's been so good this year. It's funny because his ERA is like a run higher than last year. And he's been so much better this year than last year. But if you just looked at ERA, you'd think he was having a down season. But he's been great this year, Bubba.
Yeah, he's been electric. He's one of the 3 pitchers with over 200 Ks, as we discussed in this league. And, velocities were down a little bit, but nothing crazy. Still getting a ton of swing and miss last night. You just got to kind of notch it up to an off evening in Southern California. Maybe he went to Disney the night before. Who knows?
Maybe he went to Disney, or maybe he met Ketel Marte and they went to the bar or something, or who knows what happened. But not a great night for Gavin Williams. Final down here, Samuel Basallo and Moises Ballesteros both had golden sombreros yesterday, so no good, but nothing that really concerns me too much. I know you like Basallo, Bubba. Is there any hope that Ballesteros will eventually enter into the fantasy catcher realm as a top 15 or top 30 catcher that people will be using, even single catcher, 2 catcher leagues, whatever?
Mo Balla has been frustrating because he has really good offensive skills in the minors. It does not transition, and give Anaheim credit. They're giving him every chance to figure it out, which they should continue to do in September to figure out if he's worth the hassle next year. So I think there's still something there with Mo Balla, but it's Moises Ballesteros for those keeping track at home. But it might be more of a catcher too. Landscape. Sammy Basallo, he's a top 5 catcher going into the next year. Not concerned about him at all. He's a monster with regular playing time.
Okay, this is interesting. Top 5 catcher. Catcher's really deep, so that's saying something. So I'm trying to think off the top of my head. Bryce is going to lose it. Do you have him over William Contreras for next year?
That'd be very close. I could think about it. It'd be very, very close.
Okay.
Like
Okay.
Shea Langoliers will be up there. Goodman will be up there. Like you said, Rice will lose it. Let me look at the board I have over here. As I have one. So yeah, Langoliers, Basayo, Dingler will be in the conversation. Then you have like Ivan Herrera's right outside of it and stuff. So he's around that 5-6 area. He's right there at the top.
It'll be interesting.
And
And
Baldwin, I forgot. Yeah.
I already can't wait for our catcher preview where Bubba will be here with us breaking it all down. I've come to really love catchers because catchers are actually one of the more valuable positions in fantasy at this point. I mean,
Yep.
catcher's better than second base. It's better than third base. I think that's probably it, but catcher was always terrible in the time I've been playing fantasy, and now it doesn't even need the positional adjustment anymore, really. Like, it's just they're valuable guys that you can even put in your utility slots and stuff like that. And that was never the case for the first few years I was doing this.
Yep. No, I'm with you. It's crazy over the last 4 or 5 years. Like the depth of the pool has gotten better, the youth of the pool has gotten better, and it's actually producing offensively for once, which is just all around makes me a happy, happy big man.
Yeah, you were ahead of the curve. You have been with catchers for a while. Let's move to the injuries, and the aforementioned Ketel Marte is on track to return for the start of the Arizona series against the Phillies on August 31st. We'll see. I'm not sure exactly what's going to happen, but I mean, he might have been dropped in a couple of leagues, and I was on board with it, honestly. Are you picking
Yep.
him back up if you dropped him?
No, I'm not picking him up. I've been very staunch on this one with our Patreon and anyone else that wants to listen to me. It's like first I'll believe it when I see it when he comes back. Like they're saying he might be in a quote unquote rehab game on Thursday in Arizona, which is comical. But like let's just get real about the fact that even if he does come back, his team hates him. That's been very clear. Like they heavily dislike him is what I would say. And then to just put the cherry on top, he's not good right now. Since the All Star break, he's hitting 224 with 4 home runs, like no stolen bases. He's not even producing to make it a thing. It's like, yeah, he was this once great player. He's got something really going on between his ears, and he can't produce on the field. So I'm not worried about him.
Would you drop him for Pedro Ramirez? And I think Matt Shaw will be coming back relatively soon, too. I'm not sure how the playing time will work out in Chicago. Would you want to aim higher if you're dropping Marte, or would that be enough for you?
It would be a starting point. I'd want to go higher just because the Shaw thing worries me quite a bit. I think Ramirez has earned the playing time. Will he get the playing time? Who knows? Because it seems like the Cubs don't want to play Matt Shaw anyways, which is hilarious. But that'd be a good spot to start for sure.
Yeah, I'm not sure if Matt Shaw is that great. At the end of the day, we'll see. But to
He's
answer
streaky.
sorry, what?
He's streaky. Is what I would say.
Yeah. I mean, he's still so young. He could grow into a good fantasy asset. There's a decent little power speed potential there. But yeah, the Cubs offense has been the best offense in baseball this year. So I don't know if they want to mess with it too much, but we'll see what happens. Is Cattell going to get traded this offseason? I'd be shocked. I'd be absolutely shocked if he enters the year as a Diamondback. But I was saying a similar thing this time last year that I'd be shocked if he was here this season. So we'll see. But I think he does probably get traded. Wonky saying Cubs can't count on Shaw to stay with the team for a playoff run. That is a good point as well. Shohei Ohtani could return to the mound as early as this Sunday. Let's say you have a head-to-head matchup on Sunday. You need to win to get into the playoffs. Is Shohei Ohtani going into your starting lineup in that first start back as a pitcher?
No, because I don't think he goes 5 innings to get you a win.
Okay. It's probably fair, yeah.
That's the kicker. But because I honestly I don't even know why they're doing this. Just let him hit and figure it out. But I think he goes max 3 innings. If he goes more than that, Dave Roberts is a dum-dum. But you never know.
Your favorite, Dave Roberts.
The rat.
Well, what they might do is over the next 6 weeks or so, just go from like 45 pitches to 55 to 65 to 75 or something. That's conjecture, but just to get him ready for October pitching, we'll see what happens. But if they're letting him go 7 innings before the end of the season, then I agree. That's totally reckless, totally stupid decision if they do that. Some good news. Hunter Goodman was activated from the IL ahead of Tuesday's game. Another guy who definitely will be in that top 5, top 3 catcher conversation for next year, assuming that he is staying healthy. And then we got a bunch of nonsense from the Blue Jays here. Shane Bieber, who had looked really good over his last couple starts, went on the IL with a right teres major inflammation. I think his season is probably done the way it's looking. Would not be holding Shane Bieber. It's a damn shame. His last 2 starts were great. We talked about this, I think on Friday, Bubba, we talked about it. And I think with Welsh, we might have mentioned it on Monday as well, but he's a drop. Trey Savage was throwing from 75 to 90 feet, still remains without a clear timetable to return. Would you be holding a Savage? I'm leaning no. I'm leaning no.
No, he's done for me. If he comes back, kudos. But a lot of these guys at best are going to give you one start for how many innings is the question right now. So yeah, he's gone.
Yeah, and then Yimi Garcia underwent surgery for thoracic outlet syndrome on Thursday. At his age, that might be the end of Yimi Garcia. Really decent bullpen arm throughout his career, occasionally a closer, but might be the end of it. And speaking of might be the end of a closer, my God, Pete Fairbanks placed on the IL with, and I want to make sure I get this correct, right median nerve irritation. There's always been stuff with Pete Fairbanks going back to Tampa about how he is affected by, I believe it's cold weather or something like that. There's some
Yeah,
kind of nerve thing that he's
it's
dealt with for years.
Raynaud's syndrome.
Right
I
now,
believe is what
thank
it
you.
is. Yeah.
Thank you. Odd. I think it is something to do with the cold, but he's pitched in the state of Florida for his entire career. I don't really understand it, but he has a 6.02 ERA this season. The strikeouts were way up, but the product as a whole was pretty bad. Are you drafting him as a closer next season, Pete Fairbanks?
No, I didn't do it this last year, unfortunately. But the weird part is, yeah, it's usually affected by colder. It's other factars, but this was
Yeah.
indoor in a dome in Miami,
Yeah.
so not sure what took place in that one. But yeah, I'll say this much though: he's a tough drop until we hear, because right now it could just be 2 weeks. Because the nerve thing, literally, he could be feeling fine right now, and that's what's tricky about it. And he'll go right back into the closer's role if he needs saves for like 3 weeks. That's what's tricky about him. But
Yeah.
yeah, he's just kind of off my board unless I really screw up drafting saves.
I think so too. Like, I mean, maybe they could go to Calvin Fauche for a while, but he's also he's walked 14% of batters
But
this year.
I'll say this. I'll cut that off because we don't talk about the good doctor and negativity like that. But no, I'm just kidding. But I will highlight it because I had to break this down last night because I got laughed at in that on my show too. Is he's actually been really good of late, like really good in the month of August is where I'll
Yeah.
go with this one. Just to shorten it, it's been longer than that, but since August 1st, Calvin Fauche, he's allowed one earned run over 9 2/3 innings with 13 Ks and 2 walks in that stretch. He has a near like 35% K to walk right now. He's
You
been
pick
sneaky good over the last month.
you picking him up even if it's for a handful of saves in the next week?
I would. If you
Yeah.
need saves, he's a cheapie this week. He should be a target this Sunday night. Yes.
We will see. Mariners activated J.P. Crawford from the injured list. I don't think there's anything really there fantasy wise. Maybe in a 15-team mixed league, but even then, I would hesitate. Justin Steele, a friend of Fantasy Pros, some good news for him. Faced live hitters in a batting practice session on Tuesday. Hopes to return in a relief role at some point in September. There was a graph the other day going around about offensive WAR versus pitching WAR. The Cubs are like way out in front of everybody in terms of offensive WAR, and their pitchers have accumulated 3 wins above replacement this season. If their offense was paired with a healthy Steele and a healthy Cade Horton and the whole rotation firing, this is probably a 100-win team this year, at least. It would have
Yep.
been.
Yep. Easily. The pitching's just been an utter disaster because of injuries and production, as you said.
They've
Big time.
been destroyed, and I think if you look at their injured list, the minors, majors, they have like 14 guys who have started substantial games in the majors at this point. I'm not sure what happens next season with that rotation. There's some expiring contracts and some guys they might not bring back, but a crazy year for the Chicago Cubs. I feel like fantasy experts will be hyping Steele coming into next season, whenever that is. First year off of the big surgery, I'm not sure that he's somebody that I'm going to be massively invested in. Are you? Let's say Steele ends the year looking pretty solid. Is he a guy that you'd be drafting heavily heading into next year?
Not heavily. I'd have to see a lot from him to get too excited still because
Yeah.
it's been so many injuries. I don't know what he really has in the tank for next year.
I think that's probably right as well. As much as we like him here, I just don't know if I could do it at where the price will probably be for a guy who's had, Cy Young caliber seasons or close to it in the past. He might be a little too expensive. Final injury note from your neck of the woods: Willie Adames placed on the IL with an elbow strain. No timetable to return as of right now. I assume that you're all right dropping him in all formats.
Yeah, 100% a drop. It's a sprained UCL. He's getting a second opinion. They don't think he'll need surgery, but a sprain is still a tear. So we'll have to kind of see how that one plays out with Willie Adames, who I don't know if we'll see him the rest of the year.
We might not, and that honestly might be a bit of a positive thing for our fantasy teams because he hasn't been
Yep.
doing a hell of a lot for us anyway. Let's take a look at the home run board and see if there has been any movement. Hi, Cubby, still in the lead, 6 above B Trot, Jace Fan Club, Lee Gold, all at 47, and then Razor Ramon at 45, a few others 44 and 43. But Hi Cubby is really starting to pull away here. I mean, I've been saying that for a while, but It is crunch time. I mean, we need some 2-3 home run games here that are going to shorten the gap if it's going to happen at all. Because I don't know if one by one is going to be able to make up the gap at this point. My home run call today is going to be Matt Olson. I have been a huge fan of Matt Olson this year. Haven't really talked about him as much as we probably should have. I mean, he's almost in that Pete Alonso conversation of he's just been so good at first base. He's paid off that draft price. He's facing Roki Sasaki today, and I will take him for a bomb. Sasaki's been pretty good with the homers recently, but if he hadn't been historically up until the previous 3 or 4 starts, I think Matt Olson takes some yard today. Bubba, where are you going for your home run pick?
I'm going to Sacramento, where it's going to be well over 100 degrees today. It's hot as heck here in California. And I'm going to go Zach Geloff going up against the lefty Connor Prelip. Zach Geloff's been cold for a couple days. The A's offense has been cold for a couple days, but I think Prelip and company let them get going here on Wednesday. So yeah, give me Zach Geloff going yard.
And that will actually lead right into my best bet of the day here. Minnesota and Oakland. Oh, jeez. I haven't done that in a while. Minnesota and the Athletics over 10.5 runs today. Connor Prelip, who has been, and I'm a believer in the long term, but my God, it's been a rough season. And JT Ginn on the other side. This one, as Bubba mentioned, in Sacramento, over 10.5 runs. Shop it around. Check out BettingPros. But I saw it, the best line at plus 105. Maybe you can get a little bit better there. But the Twins and the A's over 10.5 runs. Bubba, you're sticking around in that same game as well for your best bet.
Yeah, Kalen Culpepper has really surprised me this year. I picked up a lot of shares when he got called up, and he's hitting 333 with 2 home runs, 7 runs, 5 ribbies, and great matchup versus JT Ginn in this ballpark. Ginn has horrific home road splits. Culpepper, like I said, he could get you 3 singles and push it. He could do a lot of things. So give me Kalen Culpepper over 3 hits, runs, and RBIs at plus 190.
And ladies and gents, that will do it for us for today. Lots of fun as always. Bubba, anything coming up for you to plug, Fantasy Pros or otherwise? Any pods, articles, or anything that people should be on the lookout for?
Just the usual. Bubba and the Bloomer record Tuesdays and Thursdays nights that come out audio-wise. They're on YouTube. We got our Patreon there that you guys can check out with a lot of cool sheets and articles to help you even all the way to the end of the fantasy season. And Benched with Bubba comes out once or twice a week. So I'm always on the mic somewhere, and they let me do it here. So, yeah, it's always great. And real quick, Lee Gold in the chat asked when Eldridge is coming back for the Giants. He'll be back after the Red Series. He had to go on bereavement leave for a funeral. He'll be back on Friday, I believe, or Thursday.
Condolences to Bryce Eldridge. But, guys, that will do it. Actually, I should plug. We've been talking ad nauseum about this draft that happened last week, and we're actually going to break it down tomorrow. Mike Mager coming on the show for the first time. I've actually never done podcasts with Mike Mager, who is really a good guy. I've hung out with him a little bit in Arizona over the last couple of years. He's won back-to-back auction championships at the NFBC. Forget the exact dollar figure there, but hundreds of thousands of dollars in winnings just in the last couple of seasons. One of the best fantasy players on earth, a Hall of Fame fantasy player, and he's going to be breaking down the draft with us tomorrow. That one will be in your feeds either Friday evening or Saturday morning. But Mager drafted a great team. Caminero, Henderson, Cade Smith, Logan Gilbert. We're going to break that all down and more on that show. I'm being referred to as the baby face in the chat, so it is time for me to wrap up the show. For Casey Bubba, I'm Joe Rico. We'll talk to you next time right here on the Fantasy Pros Baseball Podcast. Take it easy, everybody.
And the over hits, everybody. Cash your checks. I always know it is 47. I don't know when they set the lines, but yeah, the over hits without Welsh involved. That's a big one.